Here is the continuation of our story. My mom thought I wasn't in my room. She came in and took my school certificate. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the next chapter as it unfolds. This episode reveals hidden secrets between parents and children, and uncovers the real reason Malik's mother kept his school certificate. Backhand index pointing right. Kindly subscribe to Mira Wealth Stories for more powerful stories you'll love. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and turn on your notification bell so you don't miss any chapter. The phone rang one evening while Malik was cooking dinner in his small apartment. Unknown number. He answered. Malik? A familiar voice asked, trembling. Silence stretched between them. Yes, he said softly. I heard you graduated, Denise said. I did. I'm proud of you. The words cracked something open. Why did you take my certificate? Malik asked quietly. There was a long pause. I thought if I held it, she said, you wouldn't leave. Malik closed his eyes. I needed you to believe in me, he said. Not cage me. I know, she whispered. They met months later at a small cafe. Awkward. Careful. Honest. Denise apologized, without excuses. Malik forgave, without forgetting. They learned each other again. Slowly. One day, Denise handed Malik an envelope. Inside was the same certificate. Unfolded. Preserved. I kept it safe, she said. Even when I did everything wrong. Malik nodded. I'm taking it back, he said. But I'm not taking the pain with it. She cried. So did he. Years later, Malik stood in front of a room full of students, speaking about resilience. Sometimes, he said, the people who love us try to control us out of fear. But your future doesn't belong to anyone else, not even your parents. Applause filled the room. Somewhere, Denise listened online, and finally understood. Malik went home one evening and placed his diploma on the shelf. Next to it, his certificate. 2 papers. 1 journey. 1 lesson. Freedom hurts, but regret hurts more. The first time Malik returned to his childhood home after graduation, the house felt smaller. The walls hadn't changed. The sofa still sagged in the middle. The old clock still ticked too loudly. But something invisible had shifted. The house no longer held power over him. Denise stood in the doorway, unsure whether to hug him. You can come in, she said softly. I know, Malik replied. They sat across from each other like strangers learning new rules. Denise poured juice into 2 cups with shaking hands. I used to think, she began, that if I loosened my grip, I'd lose you forever. Malik looked around the room. You almost did. She nodded, tears filling her eyes. I know that now. That afternoon, Denise told Malik things she had never said aloud. About her own mother, strict, fearful, controlling. About dreams she buried when she became pregnant young. About the day Malik's father walked out and never came back. I told myself I was protecting you, she said. But really, I was protecting my fear. Malik listened quietly. I didn't need protection, he said gently. I needed trust. Denise covered her mouth as she cried. I'm sorry, she whispered, for every time I made love feel like a threat. Healing didn't happen overnight. Denise started therapy for the first time in her life. Malik learned boundaries without guilt. They spoke once a week. Sometimes they laughed. Sometimes they argued. Sometimes they said nothing at all. But the silence was no longer violent. It was safe. Malik began volunteering at a youth center near campus. Teenagers came with stories that sounded too familiar. My mom hid my documents. My dad says I'll fail without him. They don't want me to leave. Malik looked at them and saw himself. You're not wrong for wanting more, he told them. And you're not bad for choosing yourself. Some cried. Some listened. Some came back. At 28, Malik landed a job as a guidance counselor. Not because it paid the most, but because it mattered. He helped students navigate applications, trauma, and fear. He taught parents the difference between guidance and control. Sometimes, Denise attended workshops quietly in the back, learning, listening, changing. One evening, Denise showed up at Malik's apartment unannounced. She held a small box. "I've been carrying this," she said. Inside were the letters she never sent. Malik read them slowly. "They're honest," he said. "They're late," she replied. "But they're real." "That's enough," Malik said. They hugged, fully this time. Forgiveness didn't erase the past, but it loosened its grip. Malik stopped flinching when his phone rang. Denise stopped fearing independence. Love found a new language, one without ownership. One afternoon, a student asked Malik, "If you could go back, would you stay?" Malik paused. "No," he said, "because leaving taught me who I was, and staying would have erased me." Years later, Denise moved into a smaller apartment closer to Malik. Not to cling, but to be near. She respected his space. He respected her growth. They were no longer parent and child bound by fear. They were family, by choice. At a graduation ceremony years later, Malik sat in the audience. One of his ments crossed the stage. Parents cheered. Documents untouched. Dreams intact. Malik smiled. Malik framed his school certificate, not as a reminder of pain, but of survival. Under it, he placed a simple quote: "No one should have to fight for the right to grow." Denise stood beside Malik one evening, looking at the frame. "I almost destroyed this," she said. "But you didn't destroy me," Malik replied. She nodded. "And that's the grace I'll carry forever." The house was quiet, not with fear, but with peace. Sometimes, the people closest to us become the first obstacle to our future, not because they hate us, but because they're afraid. But fear doesn't get to decide your destiny. You do. Malik thought life had finally settled into something predictable. Then the call came. "Mr. Carter," the voice said. "This is the records office from your old high school." Malik frowned. "Yes. We're updating alumni files. There's a note here about a certificate dispute involving a parent." Silence stretched. Dispute. The word dragged him backward. "Yes," Malik said slowly. "That was resolved. Would you be willing to share your experience for a student advocacy project?" Malik leaned back in his chair. The past wasn't done with him yet. That night, Malik couldn't sleep. Memories returned uninvited. His mother's footsteps, the drawer opening, the sound of paper folding. Even after healing, trauma had a way of resurfacing when least expected. He sat up and turned on the lamp. "I thought I was past this," he whispered. But healing, he was learning, wasn't about forgetting. It was about choosing how the story continued. Malik told Denise about the call. She went quiet. "They want to use it as an example?" she asked. "Yes," Malik said, "of how parental control can cross into harm." Denise closed her eyes. "I did that," she said. "I became the harm." Malik watched her carefully. Years ago, she would have defended herself, explained, shifted blame. Now, she didn't. "I want to speak too," she added quietly. Malik looked at her, surprised. "Why?" "Because other parents need to hear what fear can turn you into." The auditorium was full. Parents, teachers, students, counselors. Malik stood at the podium first. "My mother once thought I wasn't in my room," he began. "She took my school certificate. Not because she hated me, but because she was afraid I would leave." Murmurs rippled through the room. "That moment almost cost me my future." He stepped back. Denise walked forward. Her hands trembled. "I was that mother," she said. The room went still. "I believed love meant control," Denise continued. "I believed sacrifice gave me ownership. I believed fear was protection." She swallowed hard. I was wrong. Some parents shifted uncomfortably. Others wiped tears. When I took that paper, Denise said, I wasn't stealing his future. I was trying to stop my loneliness. Her voice cracked. And I almost lost my son forever. After the event, parents lined up to speak with Denise. I do that too, one mother whispered. I didn't realize how damaging it was, another said. Malik watched from a distance. For the first time, his pain was transforming into purpose, on a larger scale. A month later, a student named Aaron walked into Malik's office. My mom took my passport, he said quietly. She says I'll embarrass the family if I leave for college. Malik closed his eyes briefly. History repeating itself. You're not alone, Malik said. And you're not wrong. Malik helped Aaron involve counselors, legal aid, and mediation. For the first time, Malik wasn't the trapped boy. He was the bridge. When Aaron later sent a message, I got my documents back, Malik sat in his office and cried. Not out of pain. Out of victory. Denise began speaking publicly. She told her story at churches, community centers, parent forums. I loved my son, she would say. But love without freedom is fear wearing makeup. She stopped trying to be needed, and became trustworthy instead. One evening, Malik and Denise returned to the old house. They stood in Malik's former bedroom. Everything started here, Denise said. And everything changed, Malik replied. Denise placed the key on the dresser. I'm selling the house, she said. It doesn't hold fear anymore, but it doesn't need to hold us either. Malik nodded. Growth sometimes meant closing doors, not slamming them. Years later, Malik published a book, The Paper They Tried to Take. It became required reading in several school districts. Not because it was perfect, but because it was honest. On Malik's 40th birthday, Denise handed him a gift. Inside was a frame, his certificate, his diploma, and a handwritten note. I release you, forever, and I love you without conditions. Malik hugged her tightly. This time, there was no fear, only love. Malik stood before another group of students years later. If someone takes your documents, he said, they're not taking paper. They're taking permission. He smiled softly. But permission was never theirs to give. The story didn't end with Malik. It multiplied. Through students, parents, families, through truth. Some parents think keeping their children close will keep them safe. But safety without freedom is just another cage. And sometimes, the bravest thing a child can do is leave.